Friends. Happy February. We're coming into Valentine's Day, and if you're not aware, February is also Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We don't really hear a lot about teen dating violence, but it's more common than you know, and a lot of times the type of abuse that we see, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. And so I wanted to share an article, or so actually, it's a list of some warning signs, some for teens, some for parents. And I want to put the disclaimer out there that not everything that I mentioned from this list is, you know, a guarantee that there's abuse. There is no guarantee that any one thing would point to that, but they are things to be aware of. And to look into as a parent of a teenager. So, first of all, to teens, some questions I have for you. Okay, does the person you're dating demand that you kind of run things by them before you do something? Do you have to kind of maybe they don't call it permission, but they like to know what it is you're going to do before you agree to do it. So like they're kind of in charge. That's a red flag. Do they ever threaten you? A lot of people can identify abuse as threatening or, behavior where you're injured, bruises, that kind of thing. There's a lot of other types of abuse too, but if they ever threaten you, you need to take that seriously and realize that that is a big red flag. Do they want the passwords to every thing you have, your phone, your email? Do they check your messages? Are they suspicious, overly suspicious? Now, I can see, I've had clients in the past who maybe were not faithful in their relationship. And so when they reunited with that partner, it took that partner a long time to rebuild trust. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about teenage dating or even some adult dating where you've done nothing wrong, but they treat you as though you've done something wrong by demanding to check every text, check every email, constantly looking for signs that you're cheating. Those are red flags. Do they ever make you feel guilty to get their way? That's a form of coercion. And sometimes it even goes as far as we've had people say that they wanted to break up with their partner. But then the partner says, oh, well, if you break up with me, I'm just going to hurt myself. So again, that's trying to use guilt to coerce you. Those are red flags. If they're physically aggressive or violent with you is a big red flag. And sometimes this can be kind of, covert in a way. Just as a sexual predator or a pedophile can use games to groom children, like tickle games and such, they can kind of make it like a game, even though they're being physically aggressive with you. So you need to be aware of that. Are you the problem? Do they say you're the problem? They blame you for everything and never take responsibility? That's a real big red flag. Do they pressure you when there's things they want you to do that you don't want to do? That could be sexual or not sexual. But do they pressure you until you finally give in? That's a form of abuse. Do they call you names? Do they put you down? Do they do it under the guise of teasing? Maybe they'll pick some part of your body and make fun of you or something. Those are red flags. What about if they want to be with you all the time and they get really upset or frustrated if you want to go hang out with a friend or go out maybe with your sister or your parents and not have them there, and they get really upset about that? That can be a red flag. And a lot of times, especially younger girls, will find it flattering that they want to be with you all the time. They want to talk to you all the time. They don't want you to be with other people because they love you so much. But those are really concerning things to think about because in some situations that is abuse. What do they display anger? If you're in the car, they're driving, somebody pulls out in front of them or something, Do they get really, really angry behind the wheel? Or in any situation, their reaction will tell you a lot about them. And I've always said, look at how they treat their mom. That tells a lot about a guy. Do they incessantly call you or text you? They need to know where you are all the time. And sometimes, again, that is like, oh, well, I just want to make sure you're safe. So we're going to put this tracker on you so I'll know where you are just to make sure nothing happens to you. Those are all ways of controlling you. And as parents, we watch our children grow up, and it's scary when we see them get in a relationship. So some things that we can look for as parents. Maybe they've been very active in a club or a group or an activity. All of a sudden, they don't want to do it anymore. That's a little bit of a red flag. Something's going on with your teen. They become very critical of themselves. They start finding something wrong with themselves. They're You've had a good relationship, you've talked about things, they confided in you, and all of a sudden they become very secretive and they just don't want to share things with you anymore. Now, again, some of these things can be, growing up to a point. They go through a phase when they grow up and become independent, and they're not dependent on us as much anymore, and they may have other people they confide in. But you can tell if they become very secretive. That's usually a sign that something's going on. What about if they start changing their appearance? And it can go either way. It can dress more provocatively, or they can stop dressing nicely and start dressing in sweatpants and big t shirts because maybe he's jealous that someone's looking at her. So you watch for those little subtle signs. They show no interest in their friends anymore. They don't want to talk to friends. They don't want to hang out. They don't want to go do anything with friends. It's just all about the one person they're dating. One thing, if they're in school, if you see their grades drop, that can be a sign that something emotional is going on in your teen's life. You can tell if they've start behaving and you can see that they're depressed or they start having a lot of anxiety. Those are red flags. And of course, if you start seeing unexplained injuries, if you see bruises, black eye, marks on your teen, that is a huge red flag that you need to talk to them about what's going on. What about if, as a parent, you ask your teen, something about their dating partner and they make excuses for them that are not true? Or you ask about some behavior and they minimize it, even though it wasn't a minimal thing. Those are kind of red flags to be aware of. If the partner has, unhealthy jealousy, that is a huge red flag, and it grows with time usually. The constant communication, the constant calling, the constant texting, they can't do anything, even a family night, because their partner can't leave them alone. And of course, as parents, we notice when our child isolates from us and they stop talking to us and they become very introverted when that's not been their nature. So those are all signs, everyday kind of signs that we can see. And if you see some of those in your child, I hope that you will have the opportunity to talk to them and just be careful and not go in guns blazing, accusing their partner of things, because all that's going to do is make your teen defend them. But just talking about behaviors and maybe something like, hey, how would you feel if someone you were dating did XYZ? And just give them an opportunity to talk about, their thoughts on things. Ultimately, once they're adults, it's their choice, but always be that safe place and make sure your child knows they have someone in their corner, they have a support group, they have a network, they can come and they can talk to you, and you will always be there to talk with them and you can offer advice. But with it being Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, I wanted to just share those things with you. And remember that you are the most important person in your child's life. Statistically, if someone goes through a traumatic event, if they just have one safe person that they can confide in and can talk to, it usually makes all the difference in their healing. So you as a parent can be that safe place. Thank y'all for watching. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, join us here on the channel. We're hoping to see this grow so we can get more information out there. Y'all have a great February and happy Valentine's.